March 31, 2006, the night Brian Shaffer, a 27-year-old medical student from Ohio State University, walked into a bar in Columbus, Ohio, for a night out with friends. He was seen entering but never leaving. Despite multiple efforts by authorities, Brian's disappearance remains one of the most baffling and unsolved mysteries of the 21st century. What happened to Brian Shaffer that night? Today, we dive into the strange case of the disappearance of Brian Shaffer. Brian Shaffer was a bright and promising medical student. At the time of his disappearance, he was on track to graduate and had a promising future ahead of him. Brian was known for his love of music, hanging out with friends, and spending time at local bars. March 31, 2006, was supposed to be a typical night out. Brian went to the Ugly Tuna Saloon, a popular bar located on High Street in Columbus, Ohio, with two of his friends. Brian and his friends spent several hours at the bar that night. Around 1:15 a.m., the group decided to leave. However, Brian, for reasons unknown, decided to stay behind for a few moments. His friends left the bar without him, expecting him to follow. But Brian was never seen again. Later that night, a chilling discovery was made. Brian had been caught on the bar's security cameras walking toward the exit. But the footage that followed raised more questions than answers. Brian was never seen leaving the building, despite security footage showing him entering the bar earlier that evening. How could he have vanished into thin air in such a busy place, with no one noticing? The bar's security cameras clearly show Brian entering around 1 a.m., but after that, there's a critical moment where he's seen standing near the entrance. He's not seen exiting, and there is no footage of him walking out. The only thing that's clear is that Brian Shaffer disappeared without leaving any trace, no sign of struggle, no indication of foul play, and no clues left behind. After Brian's disappearance, a massive search began. Authorities checked every exit of the bar, combed the streets nearby, and even examined the building's ventilation system and rooftops, fearing that Brian might have fallen or hidden somewhere in the complex. But there was no sign of him, and no one had seen him leave. It was as if Brian had vanished into thin air. The case quickly gained national attention, not just because of the mystery surrounding Brian's disappearance, but also because of the fact that there were so many people at the bar that night. How could no one have seen him leave? Some people speculated that he may have gotten mixed up with the crowd, or that he was somehow able to escape without anyone noticing. But these theories quickly fell apart. The bar was crowded that night, and it was confirmed by multiple witnesses that Brian was seen at the entrance. But then, a more perplexing part of the case emerged. The door to the bar was watched by bouncers, and security cameras showed no sign of Brian leaving through the front, back, or any other exits. The only thing that was certain was that Brian was not among the crowd leaving the bar. Authorities then expanded the search to the surrounding area, including nearby alleys, parking garages, and streets, but again, no evidence surfaced. It seemed as though Brian had just disappeared. A few theories began to circulate. Some speculated that he might have left through an alternate route, such as through a nearby construction site, or a hole in the fence could have provided an escape route. Brian's family was devastated by his sudden disappearance. His mother, father, and girlfriend were left without any answers. Over the years, they have held on to the hope that one day, they would finally find out what happened to Brian. But after exhaustive searches and countless interviews, the case remains a mystery. Some people believe Brian may have had a mental break, possibly leaving on his own accord. Others speculate that foul play was involved, and that someone may have abducted him, leaving no trace behind. And there's a theory that perhaps Brian simply wanted to disappear and start a new life, though his family struggles to believe this, and some believe in the idea that Brian might have encountered someone at the bar who led him away. Despite years of investigation, including new leads and multiple attempts to gather new information, the case of Brian Shaffer's disappearance remains unsolved. The mystery surrounding his vanishing continues to haunt those who knew him, and the people of Columbus, Ohio, who still wonder what happened that fateful night. If you have any information, no matter how small, please come forward. The family of Brian Shaffer is still waiting for closure, and the mystery continues.